$1.5 billion worth for Tesla. And that made the price go much higher, right? We went from 38,000 all the way to 46,000. And so, that's a big deal. The way crypto works is that different communities, one friend tells another friend, and people start saying, hey, I'm going to buy this. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, so there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. And more people want to buy, it drives the price up. And so what you see is it spread viral in each community. And so what's been interesting, I'm watching even the hip hop community start getting more and more involved in crypto on Twitter and on what's that? The big community thing.
Clubhouse.
On Clubhouse, yeah.
Club.
And but so in Elon's case, he's doing that within the corporate community, right? Very few companies had bought Bitcoin. My company did. A company called MicroStrategy did. Jack Dorsey's company Square did. But there were very few public companies that bought crypto. And now, one of the top 10 companies in the world by market cap and the richest man in the world did. And so it sends a message to all the other corporations out there that maybe we should buy crypto, buy Bitcoin. And that's, in a lot of ways, that's listening to your generation, right? Bitcoin, cryptocurrency is literally the kind of social currency of Gen Z and millennials, of young people. And so I've been telling companies, not only should you buy some for your balance sheet, but you should allow people to, buy your Starbucks or your McDonald's or your Bojangles chicken, best chicken there is, buy your products using crypto. So it was a big day. Have you invested yet in Bitcoin?
No, I actually was looking to do that top of the year, and I'm actually trying to close in on making that happen. I actually wanted to know the difference because I've been seeing Dogecoin be promoted heavily too lately.
Yeah, I think be very careful with Dogecoin. I think people are going to lose their shirt. So Dogecoin started off as a joke, right? We call them a meme coin. It literally was built as a joke. And the reason it's gotten so excited is because Elon Musk made a couple tweets about it. I think he was joking, not serious. But the same way that GameStop became a meme and everyone started buying it. And listen, the original people who bought it made a whole lot of money. But all the poor fools that bought it late, that bought it, when it was $300, $400, $500, they lost their shirt. And I think Doge is the same thing. If you bought it at 1 cent, below 1 cent, fine. 2 cents, 3 cents, but it was 80 cents yesterday. And that's a long way down. I actually think you should be selling that coin if you're long it. Get out, take your money and run. It doesn't really have a purpose. It's just like a joke. Where Bitcoin really has a purpose to store value, and lots of, from Elon Musk to institutions, they're all starting to participate. Very serious people putting their money in it. Ethereum is another one. Very serious people. And so, hear me loud and clear. Stay away from Doge.
So you saying Bitcoin really go up from word of mouth and more people investing in it at once?
Yeah. And so the same thing that happened with Doge, but it was a lot smaller amount of people. It pushed the price up high because it wasn't as big of a system. But there's no one behind those people, right? There's not a story on why Doge needs to exist. It was more like a fun shtick that everyone got involved in, like a bit, and it's an expensive bit. If you buy it here at 80 cents and it goes to 40 cents, you lose half your money. And so a guy like me, I'll sell it up here and then buy it, I'll short it and then buy it cheaper. I would never buy it up here. Where Bitcoin could go down too, but in the long run, I'm pretty sure it's going to keep going up because it's being adopted by more and more people.
So in the last 5 or 10 years, what's been the climate for Bitcoin? Like, has it increased more than you've taken a loss or what?
Yeah, listen, if you bought Bitcoin in any year of the last 10, it's been the best investment. right? Better than the S&P, better than stock market, better than gold, better than real estate. It's gone up and down some, but it keeps on the long run heading up. And I think that's going to continue for the next 10 years. And so it would have been better if you bought it at the beginning of the year, right? It'd been better if you bought it even last year because it's cheaper. And so now that it just moved up so high, if you're going to buy it, you buy a little bit and leave yourself some more to buy it if it comes down a little bit. But I think by the end of the year, it's higher. And by the end of next year, it's much higher. So I don't think you should put a ton of your money in Bitcoin, right? I tell people put 2 to 3%, 4% of their money in Bitcoin. You know, at your age, you know, I love to tell people, hey, you know, you're supposed to have fun, right? You're young. You know, you're supposed to spend some of your money and having fun, but you got to start saving. And if you start making a lot of money, you should save at least half. And of that half, you know, maybe 10% in Bitcoin, you know, buy some real estate, buy some stocks, and start getting a diversified portfolio. It makes a little bit more sense. You know, the other cryptos can be really fun. I'd put a little less money in those and really dangerous. And so you got to be a little bit careful and you know what you're buying. It's easy to fall for the hype when everybody's on Twitter saying Dogecoin or whatever that hype is. Usually when everything's hyped up, it's time to sell, not buy.
Right.
The other thing I'd say is when you're getting advice from people that really, you know, are just excited participants, you got to be careful of who you take advice from, right? And someone who's making money, even if they're just getting lucky, they feel really smart all of a sudden. And so they're telling people with conviction, you gotta trust me, you gotta trust me. And they're like, wait a minute, where's his training from? Where did he get his information? Where did he get his knowledge? And should I really trust him? And so you got to migrate in real life and on the internet around people that have done their homework, that have built up a reputation, that have some credibility. And so, you know, you're listening to someone that knows what he's talking about. There are plenty of people online in crypto, right? There's a guy called Pump. There's a guy, Raul Paul. There are a lot of guys to follow. There's a African-American guy who's great, Bitcoin Z. Bitcoin Zay, I'm sorry, Isaiah. You know, he's got a following. And so, but be careful on who you pick to follow because, you know, some guys are good and some guys just aren't.
Yeah, as far as knowing what they're talking about.
Yeah. So give me a little of your story. You made it. Well, how many years ago did you feel like now you got money, now you've made it, you started selling enough records, you could get yourself, you know, your own apartment? How old were you?
It was really straight out of the gate into my recording deal. I signed a deal in 2018. So it's approaching 3 years that I've been signed. In the moment that I signed my record deal, I was trying to move from Chicago, and I actually did I signed in like late October, beginning of November, and I moved to California on Christmas. So I was able to make a big transition from where I was to a way better, putting myself in a way better predicament.
Yeah, that's you know, it's interesting. It's one of the hardest issues of our social fabric right now, right? You grow up in a bad neighborhood. You're in lots of ways, your desire is to leave the neighborhood so you can surround yourself in a safer neighborhood, you know, people that can help you thrive in life. And it's exactly what you should do. The downside of it is the guys that are successful are leaving those neighborhoods, and they're leaving with less successful people in the neighborhood, so those neighborhoods never get better. And so it's a very confusing circle. But yeah, I mean, you know, going to a place that you feel safe, going to a place where you're meeting and connecting with people that are going to help you kind of continue to grow as an investor, grow as an artist, grow is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So congrats on that. But it does make me think about how in the heck are we going to take these tough neighborhoods and turn them around a little bit.
Yeah, I'm saying as far as it sounds like that's something that you really think about. I know as an artist, from an artist outlook, the only way that I see fit to pull up the people from my neighborhood is involving them within my music or something within the music industry, period, whether it's I'm taking them on tour and giving them a place and a job or a role to play, and then or seeing that these people, they may be into music too, and giving them a head start on their career. Like, what other ways do you see that I could be able to pull some people up from my neighborhood?
No, I think that's a great start. And listen, just being a role model, you know, like through your art, the messages you're sending people, like, you know, being authentic and real, but then being a role model, right? And what does a role model mean as a young superstar? It means have a lot of fun, but don't screw up too bad. You know,
Right.
be nice to people, right? Treat people kindly. You know, keep yourself, you know, mentally and physically healthy. Like those things sound stupidly easy. They're not easy, right? Listen, I screwed my life, you know, like screwed my life up a couple times in life. Too much, too quick. You start thinking you're the shit, and next thing you know, you screw things up. And so, at your age, just doing what you're doing and you know, keeping on a good path is a huge inspiration. And so, I think that's it. And then as you get older, and as you make a little more money, there's other ways you can start contributing. Right, mentoring young guys is an amazing way. And so, but listen, you shouldn't take that much, you know, weight on your shoulders at your age. You should be having fun. You should be making your art, investing some money, you know, living your best life.
Right.
But I love the fact that you're thinking about that.
Now that's something I've been thinking about since I started. Just even, you know, like we was talking about real estate, even being able to buy back my neighborhood one day.
Yeah, no, that's important. That's one way neighborhoods actually do get better is like, you know, people start reinvesting in them. And so it's a good long-term goal. Did you get that from your mom and dad? Mom or dad? That sense of...
Really, them was my own aspirations, like, since a kid. I don't know why. That's just something I just seen, because I do. It was like just growing up in my neighborhood, seeing a lot of stuff that went on. I just felt like that I could be the one to make things better around me for everybody.
It's pretty freaking awesome. And you're doing it. So, you know, that's cool. It's a good path to be on.
All right.
All right. So we're talking a little bit about investing. We're talking a little bit about your neighborhood. How many of your friends that you grew up with have gotten out of the hood?
I don't know. I don't think any, though, to be honest.
Interesting. It tells you how tough it is, right? You go up. My daughter was a teacher in the south side of Chicago for 2 years, and she'd call home every night, or at least a few times a week, and tell us of the stories of how tough it was. And you know, it tells you, she was saying the same thing with the kids in her school. Very few could make it out. It wasn't the kids' fault. You know, shitty schools, tough neighborhoods, tough circumstance. And so we got to do something about that, or you know, we're going to have a revolution at one point. And you keep seeing that. Part of why Bitcoin is doing well, you know, part of why I think we saw riots at the Capitol, part of why we saw what we saw with the GameStop. People are angry that we've got this social instability, right? The gap between the rich and the poor getting too wide. In cities, the rich side of the city, the poor side of the city, even the public school system in Chicago. If you're in a good neighborhood, the public school system, it's a nice school. And if you're in a bad neighborhood, it's a shitty school. And it's like, wait, the same tax dollars are paying for it. And so I don't know how we're going to fix it, but man, we need to. And I guess, listen, you know, it's not your job to fix it. Your job to, you know, write about your experiences. But it's interesting when you say zero. My buddy I'm sitting with, he told me the same thing in his neighborhood here in New York. You know, one or two people that he grew up with. And I'm always saying, I'm sure your guys know this, but my 11 fans that I got on this thing. You know, they've never been in that neighborhood. And so it's interesting to hear about it.
Yeah, that's why, like conversations like this, you feel me, from people like me coming from where I come from and being in the position that I am, just being able to spread knowledge, though. So having conversation with people like you or people of your caliber, that's like one move, putting one foot forward.
Yeah, no, listen, one of the things I think is crazy that in school we don't teach anybody anything about investing. Like people should learn investing in high school, what a checkbook is, what a savings account is, you know, what stocks are, what bonds are, how to set up an account, how to set up a cryptocurrency account, you know, what leverage is. And so I'm trying to figure out myself on how to create a small course, you know, to leave, even in crypto, just to kind of take people through the simple things about what Bitcoin is. Because for your generation, Bitcoin's more important. Like when I grew up, we weren't worried about the dollar. We weren't worried about if we made money, we saved it, we could put it into a bank. And that we thought would be worth more when we got older. You could buy more stuff with it. Now the problem is you put your dollars just in the bank. In 5 years, that house you might wanted to buy for $400,000 is now going to be 1.2 million because we're printing so many dollars. And you're like, why did I save my money, right? And so that's why things like Bitcoin or other hard assets, well, I said, hey, buy some real estate now. If you can afford real estate, you should be buying some real estate now. And it's one of the few places where the bank will lend you a lot of money. And so.
Because that was the conversation that we was having not too long ago.
Yeah.
When you, because the first thing that I was thinking that I didn't want to be in debt or like on anybody rather. So I'm like, I should pay this house off as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I was like, don't do that. I said, like, when you're lucky enough to be able to borrow money for 10 years or 30 years from a bank, you should leave them lending you the money and take that money and put it into more productive things. And you can't go spend it on dumb stuff, but, you know, put it in stocks, put it in Bitcoin, you know, put it in, you know, a business that you're going to start. You know, that's why real estate's so good. It's one of the few places the bank will lend you money. So I think that's the first thing every young person should do is they try to figure out how much they need to save so that I can buy my first house. Plus, it feels awfully good to live in your own house. I was in my bag, I had to get out.